Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your Heather Lino Shorty. I'm going to look at another Punisher book. This one is the Marvel Knights World to Come thing, and I kind of have to just admit that I like the Punisher now. I think it's just worth putting out there. I've read quite a few Punisher books. Some I've liked more than others, but I can't help but always feel like I am betraying my anarchist leftist sensibilities by saying I quite like reading Punisher comic books. And it's not because there's any overt reason within the page as to why that shouldn't be true. He's a usually very well written, complex character with kind of simple motivations, but how he explores them is complicated. But it is the association in the real world with a whole bunch of people who have their opinions on what the Punisher actually is. And as somebody who's ran a comic book store for over a decade now and been a fan even longer than that, I do feel like there are different ways to engage with comic book media. I know for a fact there's a whole bunch of people who come in the shop with Deadpool t-shirts who buy the posters, and the action figures, and the badges and the keyrings who have never read a Deadpool comic book in their life. And I don't really mind that so much. Like, they've seen the movies, they've seen the memes, they find him entertaining enough, and as long as they're just enjoying it on their own terms, that's absolutely fine. Punisher goes a different route because of the association with police and immigration enforcement and any other number of fascist organisations. Them engaging with him in the way they do and celebrating what he does is actually harmful, though. I don't particularly want to be tarred by the same brush on that one. I feel like I kind of have to differentiate my enjoyment from how they engage with it. And I was always worried about reading more Punisher and talking about it, but then thankfully, Jimmy Palmiotti started this comic book with just one page of text, all basically quoting directly from Frank Castle Punisher, talking about why he does what he does, and it sums up exactly why I find the character interesting. Because yes, he absolutely is just a guy who wanted to murder as many people as possible. He's really, really good at it, he thoroughly enjoys it, and he found a never-ending way of doing it. In this little intro, we do get a look at not only that as a concept for Frank, but also how he enjoys it. Not just the violence of it, but the silence after they're gone. There's something wonderful about the phrasing on it, but we also get a sense that he understands there's a problem with a system in place for people on the top causing all these problems, but he still is happy to criticize and victimize people who are victims of the system themselves, who resort to doing terrible things due to necessity. He is not a good guy. He is a villain. I don't think even Anti-Hero kind of covers it, really. But that doesn't mean I can't enjoy stories with him in. I still enjoy reading the Flashman books. I quite enjoy Hannibal Lecter as a character. He's very interesting. But these are people who do terrible things. And if that was all I was going to get from this Punisher book, I probably still would have enjoyed it, because I like the fact that somebody who's writing who knows what they're talking about, who understands what makes the character compelling and captivating for people who don't just want to see power fantasy done on the page. Throw into the fact that Dan Panosian is an absolutely amazing artist, and you're in for an absolute treat. Like, honestly, I was flicking through this book before I pitched it, reading it for review, and every single page had something about it which I absolutely adored. There is some fantastic layout choices, there's beautiful colouring, there's superb line work, and some of the best, most dynamic combat sequences I've seen on a page for quite some time. I don't think I can. The last time I remember being disimpressed by combat on a page was Daniel Warren Johnson's Do a Powerbomb. And for anyone who knows how much I like DWJ, that's a high praise indeed. The guy has a gift. And to see not just that very, very well thought out dynamic action on page, but also form and layout adding to it. Like one panel which is multiple points in time showing movement through it and the violence that ties into it, but then having a panel, then an open bit, then a panel. It felt like almost staccato film editing. Very, very cinematic, which works perfectly for it. And every single page, like I say, is brilliant. Fantastic cityscapes, really good character design. The violence, as always, is unconscionable. But to go back to the writing of it, there is also stuff just in the main story that I really like. Yes, there is some kind of comic book tomfoolery with El Zombie and the narcotic of choice that they're dealing with in this, which feels very much like comic book writing. But it is a comic book, so it's not a criticism, it's just be aware of it. But we still have great character development, we have character writing, character dialogue, which is just really, really well done. Everything kind of has a pop and a zip to it, which I think Palmiotti does really, really effectively. It does feel like people genuinely having a conversation. Not totally natural. It does feel scripted, but scripted brilliantly. It doesn't feel unnaturally scripted. It doesn't feel forced and people using the kind of sentence structure which wouldn't make sense for them in the real world. It's just so smooth. It's like Marvelous Mrs. Maisel kind of writing, and I love that. All in all, hugely competent comic book. The only reason I would say that I might not love it forever is it is tying into the Marvel Knights the World to Come, and I don't know what the hell's going on that, so I figure if I can just enjoy it on its own terms, I will, and I did, so it's cool. That's it for me for now, though. Until I see you all again, look after you, everyone. Stay safe. Bye!